Hi again, everyone, and welcome to Badger Breakdown, brought to you by US Cellular. I'm Mike Lucas from UWBadgers.com. I'm joined by the voice of the Badgers, Matt Lepay, and Wisconsin returns home after losing its Big Ten opener at Northwestern with some more questions about its offense, specifically the quarterback position. Remains to be seen if they have two answers for that spot.
Yeah, I think it sounds like, Mike, it's going to be a situation where, some things are going to blend, but you're trying to find, or they're trying to find, things that'll work for both Joel Stave and Tanner McAvoy. We all know Tanner can move his feet really well. We know that Joel, when he's on, can throw the ball pretty well, especially down the field. So maybe we'll see a little bit of both now, at least in the short term. And if, as Gary Anderson says, if someone really takes the job and runs away with it, then it's maybe back to a one quarterback system. But right now, it's probably the best option that they have to go with both Tanner McAvoy and Joel Stave.
And both quarterbacks met with the press corps after the Tuesday practice, and they sounded excited, even though there's this unknown about who might play and how long they might play. There is an excitement element to this game as far as both trying to prove themselves.
Yeah, well, I think for Joel, it's a chance to get out there again. I mean, I give him all the credit in the world. He went through a very, very tough period that only he can really fully appreciate. A guy who's been throwing a football probably as long as he can remember, all of a sudden was really struggling to getting the ball from point A to point B, and it looked like he was going to be buried on the depth chart. Well, he kept at it, so he's in a position now where he can get out on the field. For Tanner McAvoy, he probably has to tell himself that it's still a fairly early stage of his time at the position as well, and if they can find some things, Andy Ludwig, the offense coordinator, and the rest of the staff can find some things that are best suited both for Tanner and for Joel, knowing that you have maybe the best running back in the country, or he's definitely on the short list. All due respect to Todd Gurley of Georgia, but Melvin Gordon, I don't think has to take a backseat to anybody. If they can get some help for him, then this offense can make big strides.
And I think it's fair to say that last week, when you try to evaluate what Joel Stave was able to do, he was knocking some of the rust off because he hadn't played in game competition, live game speed since the bowl.
Yeah, and I think Gary Anderson mentioned, he had a really good point, and it's the frustration, I know it gets to everybody, none more so than this group of players, but you look at the 3 interceptions, and one's at the end of the game when they're trying to go 80 yards with no timeouts. One was a very good defensive play by a pass rushing specialist for Northwestern, got into Joel's face and disrupted the throw. The one that Joel wants back more than anybody is the one from the 3-yard line when you try to jam the ball into an extraordinarily tight window. He's not the first quarterback in the history of football to make that mistake, either playing on Saturday or on Sunday. So, and you're right, the point is, that's his first game since January 1st. So now he can get into a game preparation mode, the rhythm of it, not hoping he's going to play, but I think expecting to play on Saturday.
What we all saw after that game was a frustrated Melvin Gordon, and you can understand why. But given the fact that he's been running against 8 and 9 men in the box, and he's still putting up these huge numbers, really speaks volumes for the type of season he's having.
Mike, he's doing Ron Dane type of things right now. And look, we're talking about different body types, different type of runners in many respects. But if you recall, and fans who are around certainly do, especially in Ron's early years, his freshman, sophomore year, he was the primary threat. Now, the Heisman year, he had a quarterback in Brooks Bollinger, he had receivers like Chris Chambers. There were certainly a lot of weapons around him, but early in Ron's career, everybody in the house knew he was going to get the ball, and he did, at one time 50 times in a game, and teams couldn't stop him. With Melvin Gordon, he's the one guy who probably scares opposing defensive coordinators, and to see him rip off long run, time after time. He's got the most ridiculous statistic right now in college football. His first carry in the second half, he's averaging 42.8 yards. That's ridiculous, and hopefully it'll stay that way, if not even get better, if that's possible.
And if you believe what you hear from some of the people who look at pro football, the pro scouts, the pro personnel directors, they're all hinting now that he made the right choice by coming back to school, because he and Todd Gurley both might have a chance of sneaking into the first round of the draft.
It's interesting because I'm always kind of trying to think along with running backs, saying, do you want to put yourself through another year of taking the punishment at the college level, especially knowing in the NFL that it seems like they view running backs a lot differently than they used to. But you're right, it seems like those guys are helping themselves. Melvin has caught a few passes out of the backfield. He caught just the one last year, but again, every time he touches the ball at this level, he's a threat. You have to think that these NFL guys are extremely excited about Melvin's growth as a player, and now he's handling the heavier workload. He averaged 16 carries a game last year. In the last 2 games, he's had 32 and 27 carries, so he's proving some durability to go along with that breakaway ability that he's had ever since he walked on campus.
We've talked about the unknowns with the Badger quarterback position. Illinois also has some questions about their quarterback, especially after losing Wes Lunt, who had been having an outstanding season.
That's a big loss. This is the best passing offense in the Big Ten with Wes Lunt in at quarterback, but he has a broken leg and he's going to be out 4 to 6 weeks. Riley O'Toole, as we tape this, we think will be the quarterback. He played in the Nebraska game a couple of weeks ago. The Badgers have seen him. He's played against Wisconsin last year as well as a couple of years prior. Whoever the quarterback is, though, has a lot of weapons, and there's a freshman by the name of Mike Dudek who's putting up some major numbers for Illinois right now. All the problems that Illinois has, really the majority of them are on the defensive side. Offensively, they're pretty good, and it's a team that features one of the more versatile running backs in Josh Ferguson, who's a threat both running the ball and catching the ball.
And if you're looking for some context with Wisconsin's 0-1 Big Ten start, we were talking about it earlier today. They have not exactly set the world on fire to open the Big Ten season.
Yeah, it struck me, looking back, these guys seem like they lose a game early in Big Ten play. The last time Wisconsin started 3-0 in the Big Ten was 2004. Now that was a team that had a phenomenal defense for most of the season. Guys like Erasmus James, Jonathan Welsh, and Taj Hawthorne. Injuries eventually took a toll and the team struggled offensively, and it stumbled late in the year, but it's fairly standard, I hate to say it, but it's a fact that this team takes a bump early in Big Ten play, but more often than not, there's a recovery. So let's hope that at least in that regard, history can repeat itself here in 2014.
We'll see what they can do in their Big Ten home opener here on Saturday. For Matt Lepay, I'm Mike Lucas. Thanks for watching Badger Breakdown, brought to you by US Cellular.